What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens episode review. Today, guys, we are going over episode 25 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, the second to last episode of the Maximum arc, guys. I am very excited to get into this episode review. I'm just excited to see how this duel ends up concluding because, guys, after this arc, we get into a brand new arc, a brand new story, and I'm always excited to see what a new chapter is going to be in any Yu-Gi-Oh series. So let's not waste any time and let's get straight into this episode review. So what did I think of this episode? I actually really did enjoy this episode. Again, they are definitely trying to go more on the stronger side of things, and I really do appreciate it. This whole arc has kind of been a little bit lackluster, and I'll kind of talk about that when I do my end of arc series, but they're definitely going strong for the last couple episodes of this arc, so hopefully 26 gets the help as well. But let's get right into it. So this episode starts out where they actually go into the Goha building, the big old skyscraper looking thing with the big OG logo. You know, it was like one of the first shots that we got of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, and it's the building that Mr. Goha is in. In fact, Gakuto mentions that in this episode. I mean, he was literally begging down on the ground, and we saw like this big old image of Mr. Goha, which is completely funny, is because we have not seen this clown since episode 12, I believe. I mean, he has been appearing in the opening, and he has not appeared once. Neil's the main antagonist, but we're still seeing Mr. Goha. Still think that's a little bit weird, but we're not talking about the opening. But they actually decided to take a trip into the Goha building because apparently it's like kind of like a big old mall slash museum kind of thing, which I thought was very, very interesting. That is not what I expected that to be at all. In fact, that's the building I think we saw in episode 12. You know, when Yugioh was walking as a kid and he was holding his duel disc and he was seeing these people duel and he was kind of sad. That was where he was at. He was in this Goha building, so very, very interesting that they kind of brought it back to that. I don't know if anyone else noticed that as well. And it honestly might have not been episode 12, but I could have swore it was episode 12. Or was that Roa? I can't remember what it was on the top of my head. I think it was Yuga that we saw in that building, but that's besides the point. But they decided to go in there. It's almost kind of like it's almost like a chance to go in this for last time, because apparently if your account gets deleted, you can't go in this museum anymore. You can't do anything. So yeah, that's kind of strict, to be completely honest. But they actually get to take this little tour, and we get to see all of these legendary monsters as these kind of statue things. I actually do remember all the monsters that we saw. We saw Blue Eyes was the first one we saw, and then we just saw a couple go by. We saw Vorse Raider, we saw Harpy Lady, we saw Swordsman of Landstar, which I thought was really weird. We saw Red Eyes, and we saw my boy Dark Magician, dude. Holy crap. Will say, though, I kind of said this in episode 25, the summary that I did. Why is his hair blue? His hair is not blue. It's more, I mean, I guess you could argue that it's blue. I see it more as purple. Or maybe that's just the way I look at it. I'm looking at, well, I had to pull up an older one because the one I have is the new one where he actually has blonde hair and his skin is green. I don't know why they didn't do it either. I guess they wanted to make it look like the OG Dark Magician, so that's kind of fine. But I looked at it, and it looks like he has purple hair, so a little bit of a small coloring complaint that I have, but it's not bad. Also, we saw Harpy Lady, too. I forgot Harpy Lady, which was pretty cool as well. They even got to see, like, the original duel disc, like when it used to be the 5 main spell and track cards. In fact, they saw like the beta version where, you know how like the duel disc, it kind of looks like you just slide your cards into a hole. Well, no, it's just like a panel, like it would be in like Duelist Kingdom or something like that, where you just place the cards right in front of you, like it was on the table or mat or something like that. So that was pretty cool as well. In fact, when they were in this museum looking thing, they run into Neil out of nowhere. Apparently he was visiting this thing as well, and he ends up running into him. In fact, Rook thought he was part of the attraction. He thought he was a robot, and he was just like pulling his cheeks and everything, and Sebastian got onto him for that. And one weird thing, though, that I was very surprised at in this episode, when Yuga was putting on his duel disc to get ready to duel again, he notices that he has 5 penalties. And he says he didn't realize that he'd gotten 5 penalties, and he basically states that you still want to challenge me, even though you now have more penalties than you got. You don't have 4 chances to actually duel me now. You only get 1 chance in which you get a response. That one duel is all I need to defeat you now. So I don't know if that was implying that he didn't know about the penalties. I feel like he has to know that Yuka gets these penalties. I mean, he didn't say, oh, Otis lost 3 times and that was the reason why. So I guess he doesn't know why, or else he want to mention so that Otis guy got in the way again and caused you guys 3 penalties. So yeah, very weird that he doesn't know that, but not that big of a complaint. I just was really shocked in that. And they get straight into the duel. They weren't wasting any time. Yuga takes his turn. He gets 2 monsters in defense position. I can't remember the first one, but it was like the Stray Familiar. One was the other monster. He sets 2 cards face down and end his turn. And then interesting, when Neil takes his turn, he talks about like the creation of like dual monsters, like the dual disc and all that kind of stuff before he takes his draw. He sums in his, I think it was Famitron or something like that. I can't remember these Tron monsters, so forgive me. But basically he goes off combos. He actually tributes summons in this episode. He tributes Peacock Hytron, which I actually, on my Twitter, I actually did post that new monster, so I kind of expected this monster to be in this episode, and what do you know, it was in this episode. He was able to tribute the monster, draw 3 cards, and send 3 cards to his graveyard, and then he was able to just combo off again. He kept going into his Tron monster. I think he had to summon the Wyotron or something like that. I can't remember the name of them. I apologize. I don't remember these cards, even though I'm a Cybers fan. I love the Cybers archetype, or the Cybers type monsters, so do forgive me. But this guy, he activates, it's the smaller one's effect, where he can draw 3 cards, and guess what the 3 cards he draws? He draws each of the heads of his YGG Drago. Are you kidding me? That is like drawing 3 Exodias in your hand, I feel like, and then drawing Exodia, because it's not that he just was drawing the individual cards at his turn. He drew all 3 of those. That's like drawing the top card of your deck, and it's a piece of Exodia, I feel like, especially since they're now limited down to 1, so yeah. But anyway, he gets 3 of those monsters out. He just sets 1 card face down, pulls the cards in his hand, and he does his whole chant, which, God, I love Neo's chant so much. It's so good. And then you got the Maximum Shokan, and then you get that big old dragon on the field, and holy crap, it's bigger than I thought it was. I mean, I already knew it was big when you saw it hovering over the building, and it was like 10 feet taller than the building. But no, it destroyed the Goha building as well. This is solid vision, and it was breaking the building. Are you kidding me? I mean, this thing, like, was basically holding on the top. In fact, Neil and Yuga's group had to go to the top of the building to see this whole monstrosity, and it was still big than it was before, and jeez. And immediately these guys know they're in trouble, because when they first dueled Neil, they didn't know anything about this, and Neil kind of explained maximum summoning in this episode, which I am going to do a video on my thoughts on maximum summoning and kind of explain it myself as well, so I guess you guys can be expecting that sometime in the future. But he kind of explains the whole deal with maximum summoning and how it works, and he talks about 3 effects. And they realize that they're in trouble because he activates the first effect that they already know that they can destroy. Oh no, Yuga activates a trap first. I think it was he can return 4 normal monsters from his graveyard to his deck, which is very interesting that he already got that, but I forgot he sent a lot of cards to his graveyard. I think due to that one monster's effect, the one he tribute summoned beforehand, I think he sent 3 cards from his deck to the graveyard to switch his monster to the defense position, so I thought that was pretty weird, but he activated that trap to try to destroy it because he could target 1 monster on the field and destroy it. But we do learn that YGG Drago cannot be destroyed by trap cards, which we already know that, and I will say this though, Yuga's card will have the same thing, which we will get into in a little bit. Won't really talk about this much, but I will kind of explain that in that maximum video, as well as I will go over the effects of YGG Drago and this monster as well. But he tells him that his monster cannot be destroyed by trap cards. Yuga's plan has been foiled. Now he activates the effect of the left one, where you can target a monster on the field and destroy it. He destroys the level 5 monster on the field. Now you just got the cat on the field left, and they realize that even though this YGG Drago can attack, he's still going to survive. He's not going to take any damage. But then I think it was Rook or Gakuto that mentioned, he said there was 3 effects, but he only activated 2. And he even realized that was the reason that Sevens Road Magician got destroyed the first time, because it was the effect of the one on the left that destroyed the Sevens Road Magician. But then the right one activates this effect where it can target a monster in defense position and switch it to attack position. So he targets the familiar, switches it to attack, attacks with the YGG Drago, and looks like it's going to be another OTK situation, but Yuga activates a very powerful trap where he was able to negate all of the damage that he took. So he didn't take any points of damage this time. Instead of maybe taking 3,500 points or something like that. Maybe he was able to negate damage equal to the monsters in his graveyard or something like that. But no, he was just able to negate everything. And now his field is completely empty. Neil already has a set card on the field. He ends his turn. And then this is where we get into a very interesting scene with Yuga. He gets ready for this draw, and then he activates this real-time rush programming. And then he goes for his draw because he needs to draw 3 cards because he still has 2 cards in his hand. When he's drawn the cards, you see these cards that look like Rook, Roman, and Gakuto, and when he draws it, they transform into these maximum cards. What? What are they doing? How is this possible? Well, we do learn further ahead, as they go back to a flashback. In the last episode, they kind of did mention about this, but they made a plan to where, since they actually have ID cards in their duel disc, which I never knew that they actually had ID cards. That's pretty interesting. But it's inside their duel disc, and they look exactly like what a card would. And they thought maybe we could use these cards to create these maximum cards, because the way that they thought was to beat Neil is to beat him with maximum summon. They thought that was the only way that was possibly going to happen, and the only way to do it is they had to create cards. But I guess apparently they don't have cards they can create, which makes sense. I feel like you would have to be in the Goha Corporation to be able to make the cards. I mean, they are the ones that assumingly make the cards. I mean, they made Master Duels, basically, the Master Duels of this series, so I'm not surprised at all. But they said, we're going to give our ID cards to you so that you can be able to get these maximum cards. Even though Yuga states, if these 3 characters, if Roman, Gakuto, and Rook decide to give them their ID cards, that means they can no longer duel, because they need an ID card to have them, and I'm assuming they can only have one, so they give this up, they cannot duel anymore. And this is worse for Rook, because Rook wants to become a duel king, but this is where I get respect for these characters. I mean, you can find them annoying if you want to or not. That is your opinion. But the friendship between these characters is something that you cannot say is bad at all, because these guys are willing, and especially Rook. Rook is a character I would not have ever seen to do this, especially since this is getting rid of his chance to become the king of duels, basically. If he gives up his ID card, he can no longer follow his dream. But because of the friendship that he built with Yuga, he doesn't care about that. He wants him to beat Neil. And I really gained respect for those characters. I really, really did. And Yuga's complaining. He's like telling him not to do it, but they already made their minds up. They went to do it. They did the whole sound thing to get them out. Even a drone comes out of nowhere to kind of stop them, and then a funny moment actually happens where Gakuto goes, Gakuto chop, and just chops the robot to the ground and knocks it out, apparently. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Luke Devil would have happened right there. But no, Gakuto taking the initiative with that will watcha. That chopping hand, I don't know what the hell I just made, but that's not the point. He chops the robot. It's apparently knocked out. He doesn't even get hurt at all, so I guess this man is a good fighter, I guess. I mean, when he was doing that soccer thing or whatever he's doing in episode 4, rugby or wherever the heck he was playing, I guess that also helped him with shopping as well. Maybe cleaning out those gutters might have helped as well. Who really knows? But he is able to get the cards out of it, and he installed the real-time duel program to make these cards into the maximum cards. And also he drew those 3 cards on that turn. Really? I mean, the plot armor in this episode, my god. But anyway, the system actually starts to fail, and it gets really, really dicey until Kaizo comes in and transfers the rest of his data to kind of fulfill the program. So the Kaizo in this bike just basically died in this episode. So yeah, rip for all you Kaizo fans. Even though he's not dead, just remember, he's not actually dead, because remember, he still has his data, but the amount that he still has left, or was left in that bike, is gone now. So yeah, he made the ultimate sacrifice, kinda, and was able to make this program work. And then Yugioh was able to do his own maximum summon, which, my god, Goku Power Rangers. That is literally what this is. If anyone had watched Power Rangers as a kid, this is what this episode is. They basically just combined Yu-Gi-Oh! And Power Rangers into one show. I do not know how to feel about that, but it's pretty interesting. I never thought that Yu-Gi-Oh! And Power Rangers would be going together. Even when, like, the Summoning Champ, because even Rook, Gakuto, and Roman, they got involved as well. They were actually part of the chant as well. And when the monsters are summoned on the field, they each do their pose. And when Yuga summons this super high-tech overroad monster, someone literally told me the name of the monster, and I feel really, really bad for never writing it down. Like, this just proves how bad I am remembering to write stuff down, which, you know what, that's just the kind of person I am, so I do apologize for that. But let me actually pull that up real quickly. The monster's name is Super Magnum Deity Overroad. I knew the Magnum Overroad, I just forgot the deity part in the super. But he summoned this monster, and it looks exactly like a Megazord. I mean, it completely does. Some people say it looks like a Gundam or whatever other type of, or a Transformer. That was the one I was thinking of. It looks like a Transformer. To me, this is completely Megazord power. And you know what I just realized? If you look back in the first episode, they were kind of wearing suits. I mean, Yuga was wearing red, Rook was wearing blue, Roman was wearing pink, and Gakuto was wearing purple, even though if you watch Power Rangers, I don't think they've ever had a purple Power Ranger. I mean, maybe they have. I don't ever remember a purple Power Ranger, so yeah, a little continuity there, but you know what? It's Yu-Gi-Oh! It doesn't really matter. You can pretend he's the Black Ranger. How about that? I think it would fit with his Yami ruler and his Keme ruler, so that's completely fine there. But they summoned their maximum monster. Not as big as YGG Drago, but it's actually still pretty big, I will say, though. Bigger than the monsters he did have on the field. But that's actually, well, it is. I thought this was going to be that monster that we saw in the first episode, you know, where the crowd were like at the feet and the thing they were controlling. Not the same thing, so pretty surprising that that robot does appear, but I don't think that is the same robot. It could be the same robot, but it's just not as big as what I thought it was from what they made it seem out to be. So, but it also was a dream, so I'll let it slide in that. But that was the end of the episode, guys. Really interesting episode. And I can't wait to see what this monster is. We do already know the effects of it. It was announced not that long ago. And again, I'll talk about that in the Maximum Summon video. But guys, that's going to be it for this episode review. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys thought of this episode. Did you like it? Did you not really care for it? Whatever the case was. And also, what do you think of this, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Power Rangers kind of theme that they're going with? Or maybe Gundam does this. I'm going to say this right now. I have never watched a Gundam series. The only, like, mech anime I've ever watched was Code Geass. And that was more so because of the fact that people kept recommending it to me after I finished Death Note. So, yeah, that was a kind of a little situational thing, and I really wanted to check it out from what people telling me about. But if Gundam is like that, please let me know down in the comment section below. From what I've heard, it's not really the same thing, but this is obviously Power Rangers. Just from the first episode, it feels like a Power Rangers thing. I literally thought in the first episode like this was going to be like a Power Rangers route, and look what the way they did it. So I'm actually kind of excited for it, to be completely honest. I really thought about it actually about it because Power Rangers is still kind of popular to this day. I think they're still going on actually. I mean it's been a hot minute since I've actually watched it. So yeah, I mean they have a Yu-Gi-Oh and Power Rangers kind of theme going on. I really do amend that. I really do think it's pretty cool. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.